Hey, beautiful beings, how are we all doing? So this part is part 2 of going off grid. The first part I talked about, you can go and watch if going off grid and exiting the system is something that you want to do. So this part 2, and in this part we are talking about money and bills and finances, okay? Now, first of all, I do want to say that I don't actually advise you to do any of this. This is just my experience so far with the financial system and with the bills, etc. Okay, so do bear in mind as well that when you start maybe trying to exit the system, that you may get some extra pressure, shall we say, and it can be really stressful. Okay, so I feel really lucky, you know, that I've got various tools that I use to help me with stress, but it's just about being aware that you can get like inundated with phone calls. Like one of the companies was ringing like 20 times a day, so it got to the point where I was like, I should probably change my phone number, but I didn't. So let's start with council tax. Woohoo! So we currently pay, or have been paying, you know, for years, a poll tax or council tax, and this apparently goes towards spending on things such as bin men, on libraries, on various services that are meant to be for us, the people. Okay, now the downside of us paying our council tax is that there are and have been many councillors serving on the council who have not had our best interests at heart, yet they have received thousands of pounds, yeah, in salaries, in payoffs, etc. So the money, in my mind, is not being apportioned fairly. Okay, so people who work for the council, again, this is just in my mind, they should be working for the people of that city. Yeah. Now, when the people of that city are having to go and use food banks, or who can't afford to pay their bills, yeah, then surely these councillors aren't listening to the people and they're not doing the job. Anyway, I'm not going to slag all the councillors off. I'm sure there's some great ones out there somewhere, but I just have never heard of one or met one myself. So council tax. So basically, now there's two different options here. If you own your home, yeah, and you have a mortgage, you are responsible for your council tax. Okay, if you rent or if you're a tenant, then it is the landlord who is responsible for that council tax. Okay, so depending on what situation you are in may differ. Okay, now for me, I was a tenant, so I chose to stop paying my council tax. I just stopped paying it. It has taken them 15 months to get in touch with me about money that I owe for my council tax. Now, I can imagine there's some people watching this who are like, oh my god, that's disgusting, you know. If you don't want to do it, don't do it, yeah. If you want to do it, then do it. It's about learning to stop feeding into the system. And the only way that the system's going to collapse is from the bottom up and not from the top down, because it's been like that for too long. Right, next one. So there's your council tax. So you can choose whether you want to pay it or not. There's also stuff around common law which tells you how to appeal it and how to do it all like that. If you want to go down the common law route, again, that's your choice. Okay. The next one, parking. Okay. I have a bit of an issue with parking. So again, this is my experience, this is my opinion, my beliefs. I don't believe in paying to park on land that is ours, basically. The land across the country, it is ours, it's the people's. So I tend to find a free car park, or I choose generally not to pay. Okay, so again, I don't want to pay to park my car on a piece of land that belongs to the council, or that belongs to a private company. Okay, there was one time that I did try and pay to show my children that I was willing to try and, you know, adhere to society. And unfortunately my card wouldn't work. I tried it in 3 machines. I left a lovely note in my dashboard which said, I have tried to pay for the £1.50 or whatever it was using my card. I don't have any cash. You know, please be understanding of the situation. And I got a parking charge notice for that. My son took it off and put it on another car. But I took it back and then removed it. So apparently, I didn't know this, but I read somewhere yesterday, if you get parking charge notices, then that can affect your credit score. So if you are in the mindset and of the opinion that your credit score is really important to you because you're still looking at that system and you want to get something from it, then you might not want to do the parking, the not paying for the parking. I have appealed several parking charge notices as well, and I have managed to not pay for those either. In terms of water, again, this is a commodity, you know, this is something which is essential to our way of being and to our life. We need it to drink, to cook, to shower, to keep clean, etc. So a friend of mine actually mentioned that she hadn't paid her water bill for, I think she said it was something like 5 or 6 years. It was a long time. And all of her bills went into the cupboard. Now, Yorkshire Water are very persistent, okay? The majority of phone calls that I had when I stopped paying my bills was from Yorkshire Water, asking me to pay. Which, yeah, I chose not to, because water should be free for all of us, okay? Now, again, I'm sure there's people out there who are like, well, what about the tunnels? What about the cleaning of it? What about the staff? What about this? Completely understand, okay? Yeah. However, my feeling is I did not want to pay towards a company, again, who are making billions of profits out of something which is an essential commodity for all of us, okay? That was my feeling, my thinking. The final one is credit card companies. Now, credit card companies are definitely the worst for ringing you, because they won't just ring you off one phone number, they ring you off 10 or 15 different numbers, so you cannot block them. They were ringing me 4 times a day. Yeah, why have you not paid your minimum payment? Why are you not paying? Why are you not paying? I didn't actually ever answer the phone. I just kept pressing decline on any numbers I didn't know. But this is why I say that it's really important to think about where your mindset is at before you decide to stop paying your bills, or before you start looking at exiting the system. It is transitional, and I'm sure I said this in the last video, but it's like if you suddenly decide to become vegan, doing it overnight is quite difficult, whereas if you're gradually making this transition, it's a lot easier, okay? Now, the things that I did carry on paying for was my rent, because I needed a roof over my head. And like I mentioned before, you know, I've got kids, so I carried on paying my rent, and I carried on paying my gas and electric. So just going back to the water quickly, I was told the other day that there is no possible way that the water companies can cut you off if you decide to stop paying, okay? Because that was a fear of mine that was coming up. I was like, what if? And then I was like, just remove the fear, you know, etc. If they cut you off, you just pay and then they put you back on. But they never did, and they can't physically do that. That is what I've been told, yeah? So like I said, I'm just sharing with you that my water wasn't cut off, and that's another possibility for you. Yeah, credit card companies, again, it will affect your credit score if you're not making the minimum payments, but it depends where you're looking to get to, okay? I'm just trying to think if there is anything else around bills or finances. No, I think that's it. So I just wanted to share that with you. In terms of the gas and electric, you know, there are companies now who are starting to go bust, but again, it's completely up to you. You know, I think coming into winter, if I had children, I would keep paying it. But if you moved off grid, for example, my gas bill from April to October was £60. £60. And is that 6 months? May, June, July, August. Yeah, £10 a month for gas. So it's worth like thinking, you know, could I get a gas bottle instead? So again, the gas bottles were in short supply, but there's just different options anyway for you to think about. Okay, so I will leave those with you. If you've got any questions, feel free to stick them in the comments. And then in part 3 tomorrow, I will be discussing other off-grid tips that I have been learning. I'm going to try and keep them short and sweet. 1, because I can't talk very well, and 2, you might get bored. Just saying. Anyway, bye for now, and I will see you guys in the next video.